ask them a simple question. Who was that? And for half a second, just half a second, they hesitate before answering. Your gut tightens. You tell yourself you're overthinking, but deep down, some part of you already knows something's off. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't get cheated on because their partner was careless. They get cheated on because they ignored the small signs, the ones that felt too small to mention, too crazy to say out loud. Today, I'm breaking down the real psychological signs of infidelity, not the obvious ones you've already heard, but the subtle ones therapists actually look for. And I'll also tell you which signs mean absolutely nothing, because misreading them can wreck a relationship that was never broken. Stay till the end. Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is the place where we break down human behavior using real psychology, not guesswork, not gossip. If that sounds like your thing, hit subscribe now, because today's video gets into some patterns most people never notice, even in their own relationship. The first sign isn't secrecy. It's the opposite: sudden, excessive kindness. Psychologists call this guilt overcorrection. When someone violates a value they hold about themselves, their brain tries to restore balance. So instead of pulling away, some cheaters become more attentive. More gifts, more compliments, more I love yous than usual. It's not romance, it's the mind trying to quiet its own conscience. If affection suddenly spikes for no clear reason, that's worth noticing. Not panicking about, but noticing. Here's one almost nobody talks about. When people lie, they either give vague answers or they overcorrect and give too much detail. Psychologists call this defensive specificity. If you ask a simple question, like, "How was your day?" and you get an oddly detailed, rehearsed-sounding answer, times, names, unnecessary explanations, that's not honesty. That's a script. Truthful answers are usually loose and unstructured. Lies, especially prepared ones, sound too clean. This one is subtle, but powerful. Watch who your partner turns to first when something good or bad happens. In healthy relationships, you're usually the first call. When someone is emotionally or physically involved elsewhere, that default shifts. It's called emotional outsourcing. They're not necessarily hiding secrets from you. They're just no longer running to you first. And that shift often happens months before anything physical does. This is one of my favorite psychological indicators because it's almost impossible to fake. People unconsciously start using phrases, slang, or opinions from whoever they spend the most emotional energy with. It's called linguistic mirroring. If your partner suddenly starts using words, jokes, or opinions that don't sound like them, that don't match their usual personality, it can mean their emotional world has expanded to include someone new. This one flips the usual script. Most people expect cheaters to ask more questions to cover their tracks. Actually, the opposite often happens. When someone is investing emotional energy elsewhere, they often become less curious about your day, your feelings, your problems, not out of malice, but because their attention has a limit and it's being spent somewhere else. All of this comes with a serious warning. These signs can also mean absolutely nothing. Stress, depression, work burnout, and even anxious attachment styles can produce identical behavior. In fact, psychologists say one of the most damaging patterns in relationships isn't cheating. It's false accusation spirals, where one partner's own insecurity convinces them of infidelity that was never happening. Confirmation bias is real. Once you suspect something, your brain starts finding evidence everywhere, even in innocent behavior. So before jumping to conclusions, ask yourself honestly, is this a pattern or a phase? One sign means nothing. Multiple signs, sustained over weeks, matched with a gut feeling that won't go away, that's when it's worth a real conversation, not silent suspicion. And here's the truth almost nobody says out loud. The healthiest response to suspicion isn't detective work. It's It's direct communication. Therapists consistently find that couples who address discomfort early, even awkwardly, have far better outcomes than those who silently monitor each other. Trust isn't rebuilt by catching someone. It's rebuilt by talking before you have to. If this video helped you understand relationship psychology a little better, that's exactly what this channel is about. Real behavioral science. No fluff, no clickbait promises. So if you haven't already, subscribe, like, and share. Drop a comment. Which one of these 5 signs surprised you the most? I read every single one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.